Look at your life right now. Are you truly living, or are you just existing? We all have that quiet voice in the back of our minds, the one that whispers, "You were meant for more." You know the feeling. It is that subtle ache of untapped potential. The frustration of watching weeks, months, and years slip by while your biggest goals remain nothing more than daydreams. But what if I told you that the distance between who you are right now and who you want to become is not about luck? It is not about talent, and it certainly is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It is about the lessons you learn, and more importantly, the lessons you apply. In this audiobook, we are going to strip away the noise. We are going to break down 10 absolute non-negotiable life lessons that separate the top 1% of high achievers from the rest of the world. These are not just motivational quotes to make you feel good for 5 minutes. These are mental frameworks, habit systems, reality checks. If you are tired of repeating the same cycles, making the same excuses, and settling for average, you are in the right place. But a warning before we begin: hearing these lessons will change nothing. Acting on them will change everything. It is time to stop waiting. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Myth of the Right Time. We love to wait. We wait for Monday to start the diet. We wait for the new year to start the business. We wait until we have more money, more experience, or more confidence before we finally take a step toward the life we actually want. We convince ourselves that we are just preparing. But let us be brutally honest right now. You are not preparing. You are procrastinating. You are hiding behind the comfortable illusion of the right time. Here's the first, and perhaps most urgent life lesson you must internalize. The right time is a myth. It does not exist. The universe is not going to pause its chaos just to hand you a perfectly risk-free opportunity. If you wait for the stars to align, for the fear to vanish, and for every traffic light to turn green before you leave your driveway, you will never leave your house. Why do we do this? Because waiting feels safe. It feels responsible. We buy another book. We watch another tutorial. We plan for another month. We tell ourselves we are gathering information. But there is a dangerous line between preparation and hesitation. At some point, passive learning becomes a shield to protect your ego from the reality of failure. You do not need to read another book on swimming. You need to jump into the water. Perfectionism is just fear wearing a tuxedo. It looks professional. It sounds responsible. But its only goal is to keep you paralyzed. The most successful people in the world, the ones who have built empires, transformed their bodies, and mastered their minds, did not start because they were perfectly ready. They started before they were ready. They launched the messy product. They filmed the unpolished video. They took the first step while their hands were still shaking. Action cures fear. When you sit still, your brain has time to invent a million different worst-case scenarios. What if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I lose everything? But the moment you take action, the brain has to shift from panic mode into problem-solving mode. You stop worrying about what might happen, and you start dealing with what is actually happening. Look at your calendar. You will see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You will not find a day called someday. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. Every time you say you will do it tomorrow, you are teaching your brain that your word means nothing. You are chipping away at your own self-confidence. You must rebuild that trust by keeping the promises you make to yourself, starting today. So, how do you break the cycle of waiting? You stop focusing on the mountain, and you focus exclusively on the next step. You do not need a flawless business plan. You just need to make the first phone call. You do not need to commit to a marathon. You just need to put on your running shoes and step outside. Clarity comes from engagement, not thought. You cannot steer a parked car. You have to get moving first, build momentum, and correct your course along the way. Your first attempt will not be your best attempt, and that is exactly how it is supposed to be. Growth requires friction. Starting today, kill the excuse of timing. Embrace the messy beginning. Respect yourself enough to start right now, exactly where you are, with exactly what you have. Because 10 years from now, you will either look back with the pride of someone who tried, or the bitter regret of someone who just waited. Chapter 2. Your environment dictates your standard. Let us talk about willpower. Most people believe that success is a matter of pure, unadulterated willpower. They think if they just try harder, push faster, and force themselves to be disciplined, they will finally achieve their goals. But relying on willpower is like trying to hold your breath underwater. Eventually, you have to come up for air. The truth is, willpower is a finite resource. It depletes every single time you make a decision throughout the day. By the time you get home from a long day of work, your willpower is entirely gone. And when your willpower vanishes, you fall to the level of your environment. Here is the second life lesson you must master. Your environment dictates your standard. Look around you right now. Your physical space, your digital space, and most importantly, your social circle. These are not just background details in the movie of your life. They are the directors. They are actively shaping your thoughts, your habits, and your future. Let us start with the people. You have probably heard the saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But let us go deeper than that. You do not just adopt their habits. You adopt their standards. You subconsciously adopt what they consider to be normal. If you spend your time with 5 people who constantly complain about their lives, play the victim, and waste their weekends, you are going to become the 6th. If your inner circle believes that settling for a mediocre job is just how the world works, you will stop reaching for anything higher. Their ceiling becomes your ceiling. But imagine the exact opposite. Imagine surrounding yourself with people who are relentlessly pursuing growth. People who talk about ideas instead of gossiping about other people. If you are in a room where everyone is waking up early, reading, building businesses, and taking care of their physical health, suddenly your excuses sound ridiculous. When excellence becomes the baseline of your environment, success becomes a natural byproduct. You cannot heal in the same environment that broke you, and you cannot grow in an environment that demands you stay small. Upgrading your environment is not just about the people. It is also about the physical spaces you inhabit. A cluttered, chaotic room creates a cluttered, chaotic mind. If your desk is a mess, your focus will be a mess. If your kitchen is filled with junk food, you are going to eat junk food. It is not a failure of discipline. It is a failure of design. You must engineer your environment to make good habits easy and bad habits impossibly difficult. If you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow every morning. If you want to stop mindlessly scrolling, delete the apps or leave your phone in a completely different room when you sleep. Stop trying to outsmart bad environments with good intentions. This also applies to your digital environment. The content you consume on your phone is the daily diet of your mind. If you feed your mind a steady stream of outrage, gossip, and cheap entertainment, your mental health will suffer. You must ruthlessly audit your inputs. Unfollow anyone who makes you feel insecure, angry, or drained. Curate your feed so that every single time you open your phone, you are inspired, educated, or motivated to take action. Outgrowing your current environment can be painful. It might mean spending less time with friends you have known for years. It might mean feeling isolated for a season while you build a new circle. It will feel deeply uncomfortable. But the discomfort of outgrowing your old life is temporary. The pain of staying stuck in a place you do not belong is permanent. Take a hard look at your life today. Audit your circle. Clean your room. Protect your attention. Do not leave your growth to chance. Design an environment that forces you to level up. Chapter 3. Failure is data, not a verdict. From the moment we enter the school system, we are conditioned to be terrified of failure. We are handed back tests covered in red ink. We are ranked, graded, and judged based on our ability to avoid making mistakes. And so we carry this profound fear of getting it wrong entirely into our adult lives. We avoid starting the business because it might go bankrupt. We avoid speaking up in meetings because we might sound foolish. We avoid asking for the opportunity we want because we might get rejected. We treat failure as an executioner. We treat it as a final, permanent judgment on our worth as human beings. Here is the third life lesson you must internalize to redefine your success. Failure is data, not a verdict. When you experience a setback, your mind immediately tries to attack your identity. You tell yourself that you are a failure instead of recognizing the objective truth, which is simply that you failed at one specific attempt. You must learn to separate your self-worth from your outcomes. Failing does not mean you are incompetent. It means you are in the arena. It means you are actually trying. Think about how a scientist operates in a laboratory. When a scientist conducts an experiment and the result is not what they expected, they do not fall to the floor and cry. They do not throw away their lab coat and decide they are a terrible scientist. They look at the results, they write down the measurements, and they say, "Well, that did not work." Then they adjust the variables and run the experiment again. You must become a scientist in your own life. Every time you try a new habit, launch a new project, or step out of your comfort zone, you are running an experiment. If it does not work out, it is not a tragedy. It is simply new information. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the raw material out of which success is built. If you are not failing, you are not growing. It is that simple. If you never stumble, it means you are walking on a road that is far too safe. You are operating entirely within the boundaries of what you already know you can do. But your dream life, your ultimate potential, exists entirely outside of your comfort zone. To reach it, you must be willing to look foolish. You must be willing to be a beginner. You must be willing to fall down. In the technology industry, there is a famous concept called failing fast. The goal is not to avoid mistakes, but to make them as quickly as possible so you can find the correct path before you run out of time or energy. You can apply this exact same philosophy to your personal growth. If a new daily routine is not working for you, do not force it for 6 months while feeling miserable. Fail fast. Recognize the strategy is broken, change the structure, and test a completely new approach tomorrow morning. So, how do you permanently change your relationship with failure? You stop running from it, and you start extracting the lessons from it. The next time something goes wrong, I want you to conduct a personal review. Do not complain. Do not blame the economy, your boss, or your circumstances. Sit down with a piece of paper and ask yourself 3 questions. What exactly went wrong? What part of this outcome was in my control? And what will I do differently next time? When you ask these questions, you take your power back. You strip the emotion away from the event, and you are left with pure, actionable data. You transform a painful experience into a strategic advantage. The most successful people in the world have failed more times than the average person has even tried. They have been rejected, embarrassed, and defeated. But they possess a superpower. They refuse to let failure be the final word. They use it as feedback to sharpen their approach. Do not let the fear of a red pen dictate the story of your life. Step into the unknown. Take the risk. And when you inevitably fall, collect the data, stand back up, and try again with greater intelligence. Chapter 4. The Compound Effect of Micro-Habits. We live in a world obsessed with massive transformations. We see the final product on social media, the thriving business, the perfect physique, the best-selling book, and we assume it happened overnight. We want the $1 million, but we do not want to save the first 10. We want the marathon medal, but we do not want to run around the block in the rain. This obsession with drastic change sets us up for failure. We rely on bursts of extreme motivation. We go to the gym for 2 hours on January 1st, and by February, we have completely quit. We try to overhaul our entire lives in a single weekend, and when it inevitably falls apart, we feel like failures. We tell ourselves we just do not have what it takes. Here is the 4th life lesson you must understand to build lasting success. Greatness is not born from massive heroic actions. It is born from the compound effect of micro-habits. Think about the concept of compound interest in finance. If you invest a small amount of money consistently, it does not look like much at first. But over time, the interest builds on top of the interest. Years later, that tiny initial investment has grown into an absolute fortune. The exact same principle applies to your daily habits. If you can get just 1% better each day, those tiny improvements compound into massive results. At first, there is no visible difference. Reading 10 pages of a book today will not make you a genius by tomorrow morning. Eating a healthy meal today will not transform your body by the time you wake up. But the magic happens in the invisible accumulation of those choices. 10 pages a day becomes a dozen books in a year. A short walk every evening becomes a completely new level of physical fitness. The results are delayed, but they are guaranteed. Consistency is infinitely more powerful than intensity. It does not matter how hard you work for one day if you do nothing for the next 30. This is why micro-habits are the ultimate life hack. A micro-habit is an action so incredibly small that it is impossible to fail. If your goal is to start exercising, your micro-habit is not a 1-hour workout. Your micro-habit is doing one single push-up. Just one. It sounds ridiculous, does it not? But that is the entire point. When the habit is ridiculously easy, it bypasses the resistance in your brain. You do not need to summon a massive amount of willpower to do one push-up. You just do it. And usually, once you are down on the floor, you end up doing 5, or 10, or 20. You trick your brain into starting, and momentum takes care of the rest. The goal in the beginning is not to achieve the final result. The goal is to establish the identity. You are casting a vote for the type of person you want to become. Every time you read that single page, you are casting a vote that you are a reader. Every time you drink a glass of water, you are casting a vote that you are a healthy person. Your life right now is simply the sum of your past habits. If you are out of shape, it is a lagging indicator of your eating and exercise habits. If you are broke, it is a lagging indicator of your financial habits. If your mind is chaotic, it is a lagging indicator of your focus habits. Time is going to pass anyway. 1 year from today, you will either be exactly where you are right now, or you will be a completely different person. The choice is not made in dramatic, life-altering moments. It is made in the tiny, seemingly insignificant decisions of your normal Tuesday afternoon. Master your micro-habits and let the compound effect do the heavy lifting. Chapter 5. Discipline is reliable. Motivation is fleeting. We have all experienced it. You watch a powerful video, you read an incredible book, or you attend a massive seminar. You feel an absolute surge of energy. You write down a list of ambitious goals. You clear out your schedule, and you swear that this time your life is going to change forever. But then Wednesday morning arrives. It is cold outside. Your alarm goes off at 5 in the morning. Your muscles ache. Your bed is incredibly warm. And the excitement you felt 3 days ago is completely gone. The inspiration has vanished. And what do? You hit the snooze button. You tell yourself you will do it tomorrow when you feel more rested, when you feel more motivated. Here's the fifth life lesson that will completely change how you operate. Motivation is an emotion, but discipline is a choice. Relying on motivation is a guaranteed recipe for failure. Motivation is like a sugar rush. It is thrilling, it is intense, and it gives you a massive spike of energy. But it is entirely dependent on external factors. It depends on your mood, your sleep, the weather, and whether or not someone praised you yesterday. It is unpredictable, and it is always followed by a crash. If you only work on your goals when you feel like it, you will never achieve anything significant. Because the brutal truth is, most of the time, you are not going to feel like it. The path to success is not a constant high. It is often boring, repetitive, and exhausting. Motivation gets you to the starting line, but discipline is the only thing that will drag you across the finish line. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishments. It is the ability to make a promise to yourself and then keep that promise regardless of your emotional state. When you build discipline, you are essentially building a machine that operates completely independently of your feelings. So, how do you build this machine? You start by divorcing your actions from your emotions. You must stop asking yourself if you want to do the work. The answer simply does not matter. The schedule dictates the action, not the mood. Professionals do not wait for inspiration to strike. They sit down and they do the work. Amateurs wait for the perfect mood. Professionals just show up. A professional athlete does not train only when they feel energized. A successful writer does not stare at a blank page waiting for a magical spark. They execute the plan because the plan is the priority, not their comfort. It ultimately comes down to your identity. A disciplined person does not negotiate with themselves. When the alarm rings, the debate is already over. The decision was made the night before. If you allow yourself to negotiate, your brain will always find a highly logical excuse to take the easy way out. Your brain is designed to seek comfort and conserve energy. You must override that default programming. The next time you face resistance, the next time your mind tries to convince you to skip the workout, delay the project, or break the habit, recognize it for exactly what it is. It is a test. Every single time you do the hard thing when you least want to do it, you are strengthening the muscle of discipline. You are proving to yourself that you are in absolute control of your life. Stop waiting for a spark. Become the fire. Build your systems, stick to the plan, and let your discipline carry you through the days when your motivation is absolutely nowhere to be found. Chapter 6. Protect your peace. The power of no. We are deeply conditioned to be accommodating. From a very young age, we are taught that being agreeable makes us a good person. We learn to smile, nod, and accept requests we do not actually want to take on, simply to avoid disappointing someone else. We say yes to extra projects at work when we are already exhausted. We say yes to social events we dread attending. We say yes to favors that drain our precious time and energy. We do this because we fear conflict. We fear being labeled as selfish, difficult, or uncooperative. But every single time you say yes to something that does not align with your goals, your values, or your well-being, you are silently saying no to yourself. Here is the sixth life lesson you must absolutely master. Your time and your energy are your most valuable assets, and you must protect them ruthlessly with the power of no. Think of your energy like a bank account. Every morning you wake up with a limited daily balance. Every time you agree to an obligation, you are making a withdrawal. If you constantly hand out your energy to anyone who asks for it, you will reach the end of your day completely bankrupt. You will have absolutely nothing left for your own dreams, your own physical health, or your own mental peace. No is a complete sentence. It does not require a lengthy justification, a fabricated excuse, or a desperate apology. When you try to over-explain why you cannot do something, you open the door for negotiation. You invite the other person to solve your excuse. If you say you cannot help because you are busy on Saturday, they will immediately ask about Sunday. You must learn to deliver a firm, polite, and absolute no. At first, this is going to feel incredibly uncomfortable. If you have spent your entire life as a people pleaser, setting a strict boundary will feel like you are doing something terribly wrong. Your brain will flood with anxiety and guilt. You will worry that people will stop liking you. And here is the brutal truth. Some people will stop liking you. But the people who get angry when you set a boundary are the exact same people who were benefiting from you having none. They are not mourning the loss of your connection. They are mourning the loss of your compliance. Highly successful people are remarkably inaccessible. They do not leave their calendar open to the public. They do not answer every single message the moment it arrives. They understand that focus requires exclusion. To achieve anything truly great, you must be willing to disappoint a few people in the short term, so you do not disappoint yourself in the long term. Start auditing your commitments today. Look at your calendar for the next 7 days. How many items on that schedule fill you with a sense of dread? How many obligations are you keeping merely out of a sense of guilt or social pressure? You are the architect of your own life. You are not a passenger, and you are certainly not a victim of your schedule. Stop giving away your peace of mind to keep other people comfortable. Stand tall in your priorities, guard your focus, and discover the absolute freedom that comes from a well-placed no. Chapter 7. Comparison is the thief of joy. We live in an era of unprecedented visibility. Never before in human history have we had front row seats to the absolute best moments of everyone else's lives. You open your phone, and within 60 seconds, you see a 22-year-old millionaire, a fitness model with a flawless physique, and a happy couple vacationing on a private island. And instantly, a heavy, sinking feeling settles in your chest. You look at your own life, your messy apartment, your average salary, your daily struggles, and you feel like you are completely failing. But you are not failing. You are simply falling into the most dangerous psychological trap of the modern age. Here is the 7th life lesson you must deeply understand. Comparison is the absolute thief of joy. When you compare yourself to someone else, you are playing a heavily rigged game. You are comparing your entire reality with all of its doubts, failures, and boring Tuesday mornings to someone else's carefully curated highlight reel. You are comparing your chapter 1 to their chapter 20. You did not see the 10 years of grinding, the multiple failures, or the sleepless nights it took for them to achieve that overnight success. Many of the people you envy are fighting silent battles you know absolutely nothing about. The person with the perfect relationship online might be profoundly lonely behind closed doors. The entrepreneur with the massive revenue might be drowning in stressful debt. You are envying a mirage. You are trading your actual reality for a completely fictional version of theirs. The only person you should ever compare yourself to is the exact person you were yesterday. If you constantly look sideways to see what the person in the next lane is doing, you are going to lose your footing. You will severely slow your own momentum. Worse, you might end up running a race you do not even want to win. Society wants you to believe there is a universal timeline, that you must be married by 30, have a massive house by 35, and have your entire career figured out by 40. But that timeline is entirely fabricated. You have your own unique starting line. You have your own specific set of advantages, disadvantages, and past experiences. It is completely illogical to expect your journey to mirror someone else's. Your path is uniquely yours, and the pace at which you travel it is exactly where you need to be. Comparison does not just steal your joy, it entirely steals your motivation. When you feel like you are too far behind, your brain's natural response is to simply give up. You ask yourself, why should I even start this project if there are already thousands of people doing it better than me? You must reframe how you look at other people's success. Instead of letting it trigger your insecurities, let it serve as definitive proof. If someone else has achieved what you want, it simply proves that the outcome is humanly possible. Let their victory be inspiration, not an indictment of your own worth. Furthermore, comparison robs the world of your unique contribution. If you spend your entire life trying to perfectly mimic someone else, you will only ever become a second-rate version of them. But if you double down on your own voice and your own authentic journey, you become a first-rate version of yourself. There is absolutely no competition when you are entirely authentic. Starting today, you need to put your blinders on. Audit the content you consume. If looking at someone's profile makes you feel inadequate or anxious, unfollow them. Protect your mental space. Redirect all of that wasted energy back into your own life. Measure your progress not by how close you are to someone else's finish line, but by how far you have come from your own starting point. Keep your eyes completely focused on your own lane. Chapter 8. You are not your thoughts. Have you ever stopped to listen to the voice inside your head? The constant, never-ending stream of commentary that narrates your entire life. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, that voice is talking. It tells you what to worry about. It reminds you of that embarrassing mistake you made 5 years ago. It tells you why you are not good enough, smart enough, or ready enough to take a massive risk. Most people live their entire lives believing that this voice is who they are. They believe that if a limiting thought pops into their head, it must be the absolute truth. But here is the 8th life lesson you must deeply understand if you want to master your mindset. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Your brain is an incredibly powerful survival machine. For thousands of years, its primary job was to keep you alive in a highly dangerous world. It is biologically wired with a negativity bias. It is constantly scanning your environment for threats, worst-case scenarios, and reasons to be afraid. This was highly useful when we were running from predators in the wild, but today, that exact same survival mechanism is what makes you terrified of public speaking, launching a business, or putting your creative work into the world. When your brain tells you that you are going to fail, it is not predicting the future. It is simply trying to keep you safely inside your comfort zone, because the comfort zone is highly predictable, and to your pribble equals safe. The massive problem arises when you identify completely with this survival mechanism. When you think a negative thought and you instantly accept it as a fundamental fact about your identity. You cannot stop a negative thought from entering your mind, but you absolutely control whether or not you invite it to sit down and stay for dinner. There is a massive psychological difference between having a thought and being a thought. When you say, "I am anxious," you are declaring that anxiety is your entire identity. You are trapping yourself in that temporary emotion. But when you say, "I am experiencing a feeling of anxiety," you create vital distance. You recognize that anxiety is just a temporary cloud passing through the sky of your mind. You are not the cloud. You are the sky. This realization is the absolute foundation of mental toughness. When self-doubt creeps in, you do not have to fight it. You do not have to forcefully suppress it. You simply have to observe it without any emotional attachment. You can look at the thought, recognize it as a protective mechanism of your brain, and say to yourself, "Thank you for your input, but we are moving forward anyway." You have the profound power to curate your internal landscape. Just as you would audit the people you surround yourself with, you must aggressively audit the thoughts you allow to loop in your head. If a thought does not serve your ultimate vision, if it does not empower you to take daily action, you must consciously choose to let it go. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into negative self-talk, I want you to hit the pause button. Take one deep breath. Step back from the noise and realize that the voice relentlessly criticizing you is not the real you. The real you is the silent awareness listening to that voice. You are the master of your internal house. Do not let uninvited, limiting beliefs live rent-free in your mind. Evict the thoughts that keep you small, and intentionally choose the thoughts that build your absolute greatness. Chapter 9. Embrace the friction. Look around at the modern world. We have engineered our entire existence around the relentless pursuit of comfort. If it is too hot outside, we turn on the air conditioning. If we are hungry, we push a button on our phone and food arrives at our door in 30 minutes. If we are bored for even 10 seconds, we pull out a screen to instantly entertain us. We have completely eliminated physical and mental struggle from our daily routines. We view any form of hardship, delay, or discomfort as a fundamental failure of our environment. But in our desperate sprint toward an easy life, we have accidentally stripped away the very thing that makes us resilient, powerful, and capable of achieving greatness. Here's the 9th life lesson you must deeply internalize to redefine your success. You must learn to embrace the friction. Think about how a diamond is formed. It is not created by resting gently in a soft bed of velvet. A diamond is created under massive amounts of heat and crushing pressure over a long period of time. Without that intense environmental stress, it remains nothing more than a piece of coal. Your mind and your character operate under the exact same universal law. You cannot grow in a state of constant comfort. Consider what happens when you go to the gym to build physical strength. You do not pick up the lightest weight in the room and expect your muscles to grow. You intentionally pick up a weight that is heavy. You force your muscles to contract against severe resistance. You push yourself until your muscle fibers literally tear. It is painful. It is exhausting. But it is only through that deliberate friction that your body adapts, recovers, and comes back significantly stronger than it was yesterday. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Psychological resilience is built the exact same way. The challenges, the setbacks, and the frustrations you are facing right now are not punishments. They are the resistance training for your mind. When you lose a job, when a relationship ends, or when a business venture fails, it feels like the world is collapsing around you. But in reality, life is simply adding more weight to the bar. Life is forcing you to become stronger. People who avoid doing hard things eventually become incredibly fragile. The slightest inconvenience ruins their entire day. But people who intentionally lean into the friction become entirely unbreakable. They understand that a hard life creates a strong person, while an easy life creates a weak person. If you want to master your mindset, you must stop running away from difficult tasks. In fact, you must actively seek out voluntary discomfort. Take a cold shower in the morning. Push yourself through a grueling workout. Have that highly uncomfortable conversation you have been avoiding for 6 months. Wake up at 5 in the morning when the rest of the world is sleeping. Every single time you voluntarily choose the hard path over the easy path, you are sending a powerful signal to your brain. You are declaring that you are in absolute charge, not your impulses. When you shift your perspective, the obstacles in your life completely change their meaning. The friction is no longer your enemy. The friction is your absolute greatest teacher. The resistance you are fighting right now is exactly what is preparing you for the success you have been asking for. Starting today, I want you to look at your struggles differently. Stop asking why this is happening to you, and start asking what this is trying to teach you. Lean into the heavy lifting of life. Embrace the friction, because it is the only fire that can forge your ultimate potential. Chapter 10. Purpose is created, not found. We spend years of our lives waiting for a magical epiphany. We are told from a very young age that we must go out into the world and find our passion. We treat purpose like it is a lost set of keys hiding under a couch cushion, just waiting to be discovered. We believe that if we just read enough books, travel to enough countries, or think hard enough, the heavens will part and our ultimate life mission will be revealed. Because of this massive misconception, millions of people remain completely paralyzed. They refuse to commit to a career path, a business, or a profound pursuit because they are absolutely terrified it might not be their one true calling. Here is the 10th and final life lesson you must absolutely master. Purpose is not found. Purpose is created. The brutal truth is that passion does not come before action. Passion is the absolute byproduct of action. When you first start learning a new skill, it is rarely fun. It is usually frustrating, incredibly awkward, and highly discouraging. You do not feel passionate about playing the guitar when your fingers are bleeding and you cannot play a single chord correctly. You do not feel passionate about public speaking when your voice is shaking and the audience is staring at you in silence. But if you push through that initial phase of friction, something remarkable happens. You start to build competence. You get slightly better every single day. And as your competence grows, your confidence grows. Suddenly, you realize you are actually quite good at this thing. And human beings love doing things they are highly competent at. Do not ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. If you want to create a deep sense of purpose in your life, you must stop looking completely inward. Stop asking yourself what you want out of the world and start asking what you can offer to the world. Purpose intersects exactly where your highly developed skills meet a profound need in the marketplace or in your community. You do not need to save the entire planet to live a highly purposeful life. You just need to become incredibly valuable to a specific group of people. Whether you are building software, baking bread, coaching athletes, or raising a family, the meaning is not in the task itself. The meaning is entirely in the intention and the mastery you bring to the task. You must abandon the dangerous illusion that there is only one perfect path for your life. You could likely be passionate about 10 different careers, provided you dedicate yourself to mastering the underlying skills. Purpose is simply a choice you make. It is the active decision to take the raw materials of your current life, roll up your sleeves, and build something of immense value. Stop wandering. Stop waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration to strike you while you are sitting comfortably on your couch. Pick a direction. Any direction that sparks even a tiny amount of curiosity. Commit to it completely for 6 months. Master the mundane details. Help the people around you. You are the author of your own story. Your purpose will not be handed to you on a silver platter. You have to step out into the arena, forge your skills in the fire of discipline, and build your purpose with your own 2 hands. Conclusion: the final step. You now hold the blueprint. 10 life lessons, 10 fundamental shifts in your mindset, 10 ways to completely rewrite the trajectory of your future. We have stripped away the noise. We have dismantled the excuses of waiting for the right time, relying on fleeting motivation, and fearing the inevitable sting of failure. We have explored the profound impact of your environment, the quiet power of micro-habits, and the absolute necessity of protecting your peace with the word no. But remember what we discussed at the very beginning of this journey. Information without implementation is nothing more than entertainment. You can listen to the greatest advice in the world, read every book on success, and memorize every strategy. But until you apply it, absolutely nothing changes. The universe does not reward you for what you know. The universe rewards you for what you do. The person you desperately want to become is currently waiting for you on the exact opposite side of your excuses. They are waiting on the other side of your fear, your procrastination, and your heavily guarded comfort zone. You cannot read a book about exercise and expect your muscles to grow. You have to get down on the floor and do the heavy lifting yourself. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is the only mechanism that turns potential into reality. So draw a massive line in the sand today. Let this be the exact moment you stop playing small. Do not let these 10 lessons fade into the background of your busy life. Pick just one lesson today. Implement it immediately. Build the momentum, stack the micro-habits, and embrace the friction that comes with profound personal growth. Take these 10 lessons, step entirely out of the shadows, and build a life that you are truly proud of. The time for waiting is permanently over. Your time is right now. This concludes our journey today. Thank you for listening. If you found value in this, please leave a like. It really helps the channel. I'd also love to hear your favorite takeaway in the comments below. Subscribe for more audiobooks, and I'll see you in the next one.